Shalom, family. Glory be to God, and blessed be the Lamb. I'm sorry it's late, but I had to take care of some business. Allow me to indulge you, though, 15, 20 minutes or so. I will try not to get so passionate. Tonight we're going to talk about foreign policy, something different. America has never known a time in 60 years where it has not been at war somewhere, shooting and bombing someone. Not a day. Not a day. How many times have this country been attacked in those 60 years? This is why they took away the right of the people to declare war. Okay? See, to those of you who just arrived, 30 years ago, they didn't have the right to just go to war without the consent of the American people. They had to go to Congress and they had to have a vote from every senator from every state and every congressman from every state, and in order to issue a declaration of war. Then they took that right away. So after that, it's been endless war, using your daughters and your sons, mostly for resources. America is the type of country that it will make up a reason. It will create a dynamic and then go into a country, go to war with it, and somehow have control of the resources after they have killed everybody. Now, 12 of the last 16 years have been held by Democrats. The Democratic rule and watch it, and I know black folks is asking me, why is he always on the Democrats? Well, it's because black folks gave you 60 years of voting exclusively for no one but you. That's why. That makes you responsible, whether you did something for them or not. You're still responsible. They already paid you with their vote and their loyalty. So now we focus on you. So 12 out of the last 16 years has been held by Democrats. Okay? In those 16 years, you've been involved in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, threatening Iran. You're in Africa as I speak and refuse to leave under the threat of armed conflict. This is as I speak. Okay? Even now, you're willing to go to war on the behalf of another country. Another country that don't even like us. Most definitely don't like black people for obvious reasons. But they don't like Americans or its culture in any kind of way. Never did. That's why, since their arrival here, they've done nothing but change it in every way they could. It was like they looked out there and seen what was important to Americans, and they fought it. Like that's in the 70s. The Jesus and the Bible was moved out of school. By the 80s, you couldn't have a prayer at a prom or a football game. By the 90s, they were trying to remove Christ out of the word Christmas. And I can go on and on and on. This is what you do when you want to fundamentally change a culture over time. You attack what brings them together. You see? You attack whatever brings them together, like Christmas. You look at what happened after that. Then they made the use of fireworks illegal. Why again? Because on the holidays, all your neighbors would be outside laughing, drinking, and shooting off fireworks. And they looked out there and they seen you doing that. So they went after it. And they made it illegal. Well, I can go further. But by now it's not necessary. You understand what I'm actually saying. This is what happens when you allow, man, I'm trying to be nice here. When you allow any group immunity, exclusivity, apartism, anything like that, if you're not even going to label them, I'm talking about if you're not going to say, like I should walk around with a beef of black on my head. They should walk around white from Germany on their head, and from Britain on their head, and from France, and from Saudi Arabia, and from China, and from Israel. See? And then it's more honest, because then you're going to see exactly what's happening. Exactly what's happening. Okay? Then there ain't going to be no argument. But they would never do that. But going back to foreign policy, in the 80s, there was a group that was controlled by those people whose name I cannot say, whose name was the American Enterprise Institute. Okay? It was made up of 90% of those people and their supporters based on money. They were saying that they wanted to remake the Middle East. Hence, war after war after war after war. Now, let's look at each war. Afghanistan. They said that after 9/11, Osama bin Laden attacked us. They don't show you the body. We ain't seen this in ever. They say they killed the man, flew him up in a helicopter, wrapped his body in a blanket, and they dumped his body at sea. They dumped the body at sea. At least that's what they say. Okay? Now, based upon that, they may kick off a whole war. But if you look at the old footage, look at the footage again. Now, they're going to pass a law sooner or later about anyone who dares to question the narrative of 9/11. Trust me, because all this stuff is going to come up and out, and they know that I do not lie. I don't lie. I can't lie. So if you look at the footage of those towers as they're falling, you see explosions running vertically downward per floor. So that is a controlled demolition. A controlled demolition. Here's evidence number 2. I've been building shit a long time. I know everything that there is to know about structure and balance and load bearing. I know all this stuff. There is no way a building that has a center beam made of steel as the center of that structure can collapse straight the fuck down, unless you have either damaged it through explosives. That's the only way. Evidence number 3. The fuel that was carried that's back in those days, that was used by most airplanes or jets, is nothing more than concentrated kerosene. It burns hot and it burns quick. But even at that, it does not have enough heat for long enough of a time to melt the steel beams steel girder-like beams using kerosene. You can pour as much kerosene as you want on a 3/8 inch piece of steel all day long. It will never so much as weaken it. I'm just saying though. But that was the precursor. What now? Once they got there, after they done killed everybody and they done taken control of this oil field, that oil field, created a brand new state, a brand new nation out of nowhere. even gave it a name, Kurdistan. There is no Kurdistan. There has never been a Kurdistan. But when you think you're godlike and you have all of the bullets and the money and the support that the money and the bullets bring, well, you tend to take godlike steps. Now, let's get to Syria. Why did we end up in Syria over Obama? To this day, really, no one actually knows. I mean, it was all about American interests. I mean, they said that I think the Syrian government, oh, I remember, the Syrian government was having conflict with, here it is again, folks, a section of the Syrian people that was propped up and given money and support by the American government to act a fool inside of Syria. And when the Syrian government went to put their ass down, America said, human rights abuses. Here we come and we starting the war. You see how this shit works? Do you see a pattern here? Now, moving on. Ukraine. I told y'all, man, if I don't do nothing else, I'm going to educate you. In Ukraine, let's talk black a minute. Let's talk black. Okay? Me and you having a feud. We don't like each other, but we kind of don't really want no problem because we already know that if we have a problem, we're going to tear the world up. So we don't really want to have no fight, but we have this intense bitterness, but at least one of us do. At least one of us do. The other is willing to be there and just be itself. In comes your enemy, America, and say, hey, we would like to put some weapons, man, in your backyard. I know. You just have to trust us. These are for defensive purposes only. We would never use them against you, but defend against who and what? Around what? So you say, no, man, we don't like each other. I don't want you to put weapons in my backyard that can hit city center and wipe out all of the parliament. Happened downtown Moscow. Okay? And when you say no, they crank up a war. They crank up a war. Okay? And during this war, at least, man, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians have been killed. Hundreds of thousands. You think this country gives a damn? It keeps sending them money in a losing effort. They are nothing more than cannon fodder in the hope that they can somehow deplete Russia, either politically, on the world stage, geopolitically, or in terms of resources and money and its ability to fight and to properly defend itself. Let's go back again. They hung a man in Iraq claiming weapons of mass destruction, which was never found. Now, if you're just honest, if you're an honest man, and I come up in your house and say, man, all I want is my shit. Okay? That's all I want. I don't want no trouble. All right? I'm looking for that shit or that man. Give me that shit, that man, and we out of here. But that's not how it goes with freaking America. America went over there, tore Iraq up, looking for weapons of mass destruction. Even when people were telling them before they went, after they got there, during the middle of the search and saying, aha, I told you, dumbass. They stayed there 20 years. 20 years. because it never was about weapons of mass destruction. It was about Iraqi oil. See how this shit works? Now, they run the same game in the confines of their own country against different communities all the time. But I'm gonna wrap this up because it's already late and I shouldn't have even started it, but it was heavy on my mind because they're lying again. And they're gonna drag your ass into a war, a bad one. This time it's gonna reach your shores. That's the one thing this country has not experienced is bullets and missiles taking its cities out, killing its population out, with you having nowhere to run, no bomb shelters, nowhere to go, years of neglect. So, taking up 15 minutes of your time, and actually, that at this time of night is too much. Okay, because normally I'm on my way to sleep. Oh man, looking at the last 15 to 20 minutes of TikTok that I'm about to watch as I doze off. So we're going to let you sleep. Thanks for your time. I am Source. I am 7. I am 1.